Welcome to Metals Investors Forum. My name is Brian Leni. I'm the editor of Junior Stock Review Premium. Today with me, I have the CEO of Sun Summit Minerals, Niel Marotta. Great for you guys to join me on my panel. Thank you very much for doing that. Some tremendous success to end last year. But I think, what's really interesting about the Toodoggone in general, where JD project is located, is there's a ton of attention overall. We see AngloGold take a stance in one of the neighboring companies. We've already got the discovery to the south with Aurora, with Freeport, Centerra Gold to the very south with Kemess. There's a lot of eyes focused from the very senior mining companies. It looks like there's a lot of people that want a foothold in this area. Do you think that helps with how Sun Summit and what it could be in the future?
I think it's helped a lot, yeah, and that's very well said. There's been about $200 million of capital poured into the Toodoggone in the last 12 to 18 months, and I guess it may have kicked off a little over a year ago when Centerra invested in Thesis. We saw Skeena invest in TEG. Obviously, Freeport's been heavily involved in AMARC and re-upped, I think, another $75 million commitment, and then you see obviously Anglo close to $40 million into Thesis. So that's great. We are pretty much the last company standing without a big corporate strategic partner. That's not to say we don't want one or wouldn't welcome one. It just hasn't happened yet. That's not to say we don't, do site visits, have conversations, have folks in our data room. I mean, that's all normal course stuff for businesses. And I think, at some point that may very well happen for us. And yeah, I think it's very good. We're cheering for our neighbors. I think that district is really emerging as a new, I think, tier one district, 15 to 20 million ounces. And those don't just come along in safe jurisdictions like British Columbia, right?
Absolutely. And especially the gold component. Like Aurora, I think definitely has that copper side to it. But I think it's really when these big gold companies see what it could be. And of course, the big reason why I was positioning you guys is because you're the ones that are emerging, that have had the backing of the drill results so far. And I think you're going to really show the market this year with your drill program. But let's start with the results that you had last September. That's what really caught market attention in a big way. Can you go through those results and then how that has paralleled into 2026?
Sure. Well, we've had the project now. This will be our third season coming up on the project. We had good results in 2024, but you're right. Last year we had our best results. We drilled 78 meters at 3.7 grams from surface. Stock had a big run on that news. We followed that hole up with hole number 21 later in the year. That was 81 meters at 4.8 grams from surface. Those have been good drill holes 20 years ago. At today's gold prices, that's good stuff. We drilled 19 holes in Creek and Fin in total. We hit mineralization in all of them. So 100% success rate, which is great. And so now we're fully funded on the back of our December financing. We raised $11.5 million straight equity, no warrants. And that'll fund a 10,000 meter program this summer. And I'm hoping for, equally good results, hopefully better.
And so what are you targeting? We've got Creek and Fin, and really Creek has really emerged as this really high potential. But Fin is where the bulk of the historical drilling in that area have occurred. But where are you going to target? Are you targeting in between these targets? Obviously, the extension may be at Creek.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, good question. I mean, this is still being planned real time. Our drill season kicks off in June. Yeah. But certainly we are going to go back to Creek and follow that northwest trend that was kind of a new structural learning for us this year, these antithetical faults crossing and hitting these kind of really high-grade pockets. And that's what you really want to see, right? This is people, I've had some investors say, this could be a starter pit. I think that's getting ahead of ourselves, but that's what we'd like to see. You're right, there's been 36,000 meters of historical drilling on the property. We've digitized all of that. The majority of that was at Fin. But we'll go back to Fin as well. There's all kinds of interesting targets between Creek and Fin. The whole corridor is about 4.5 kilometers. And in between Creek, which is now mineralized across 750 meters by 300 by 150 meters. I mean, that could be millions of ounces depending on what grade you apply to that on an average grade. But in between, we've got JD West and AG Carbonate. We've got Wolf Zone, Schmidt Zone, so lots of targets between Creek and Fin that I think we will hit this year.
It's excellent. And not only that, you also dropped, was it one or two holes into Bell, the porphyry to the south of Fin and Creek. What do you think about that porphyry exploration and where that might fit into the future?
Well, those holes, you're right. We only had one drill rig for the majority of the season. We were lucky to get a second rig late in September. Miraculously to follow up on hole 7. I'm glad we did. That's where we hit that great hole number 21. We did drill a couple of holes into Bell South where we had strong coincidental mag resistivity and chargeability highs. But we didn't go deep enough, and we kind of ran out of time. The first couple hundred meters on the first hole we drilled was really a slog, and you're on the clock in the Toodoggone. It's seasonal, so you only have so many drilling days. But we had some good learnings. Those holes bottomed in a Cassano rock, which is typically indicative of porphyry at depth. We know these epithermal systems are all porphyry driven. And so we would like to go back there. I wouldn't call it necessarily our priority this year. Our priority is to drill enough on Creek and Finn and in between to come up with a maiden resource by this time next year. And we think that's going to drive the valuation. But the porphyry potential is there. We just need to go deeper.
Excellent. And even just talking about, like, we've definitely focused in on 3 areas there, but you have a large land package, and you also have the project to the north of Ranch too. So there's still regional scale exploration here too. Blue sky.
100%. Yeah. So you're right. The JD project is 15,000 hectares. And that Creek to Finn corridor in the north, when you zoom out, doesn't look, like really that big compared to the whole property. This porphyry trend is more like a 12-kilometer trend along that McClare Creek Gossan. And you're right, we have another 10,000 hectares at Theory, which is a few clicks to the northwest of JD. That's still very early stage. We just did some early prospecting this year, but we hit 4, 5, 6% copper in some of those rock samples. So it's encouraging. We identified a 3-kilometer zone called Saboteur. So we'll follow up with some IP work this year and probably drill in 2027.
Excellent. Well, I think that's a good place for us to end. There's a ton of potential with Sun Summit, fully funded. Definitely some drill results we want to see how they follow up with. I'm super excited as an investor, and I think any investor needs to be taking a look at Sun Summit, especially at these share prices, because I don't think it's going to last very long, especially leading up to drilling.
Yeah, agreed. Our market cap today is about 50 million. And our neighbor Thesis, who have done very, very well and are certainly several years ahead of us, they're closing in on $1 billion market cap. So, there's a big relative valuation gap there that's interesting. And, we should have a lot of great news later this year.
Absolutely. Well, thank you very much for presenting with me, and look forward to a great 2026.
Yeah, my pleasure. Thank you.